462-5700. You dummy.
Public Radio, WBJC, 91.5 FM in Baltimore. WBJC, 91.5 FM in Baltimore.
And we're back. It's 9:30 in Baltimore. The number to call to make your pledge to Marathon 72 is 462-5700. You just heard Lee Case and Joe Knight on tape, and now we're going to take you downstairs to the Golden Radio Buffs first annual Golden Mike Awards. And Joe and Lee will be hosting that ceremonies. Galen Fromm is there. He will be receiving an award. Fred Foy will be receiving an award. And let's see, who else? Brian McDonald from the production staff of
the
WBJC.
Maryland Area Network Golden Radio Buffs presents the first annual Golden Mike's Award. And now, here are your masters of ceremonies, WCBM voices that are familiar to all of you. Mr. Lee Case, Baltimore's morning mayor, and his partner in crime, Joe Knight.
Good evening, everybody. Well, it feels right because it's dark outside, and I usually work when it's dark outside, at least early. And then Joe joins me an hour later. So from 5 till 6 in the morning, I'm with you, and at 6:05, it's Case and Knight in the morning.
Yeah, I'm usually eating a donut about this time, too.
You want to show them how?
You know, when they said old-time radio, that's why they got us as masters of ceremonies, I think, because we're doing a lot of old material on the...
I'm still worrying about when he said 15 or 20 minutes ago radio died. If it did, where's the money coming from?
I don't know. I hope it keeps coming in. But we have so much to take care of tonight, and we're doing this thing live, kind of swinging from our heels at the lovely elbow room of the Broken Arms Hotel.
Hey, you have your own microphone tonight.
Yes. There's no way, absolutely no way you can cut me off. Because that's the way it goes when you have two mics. But right now, I think I want to turn it over to you, Lee, because we have our very first award at the station broadcasting this right now. Lee?
Our first award tonight is presented to WBJC-FM and their production staff. In an era where things camp are in and nostalgia is a hot commodity, it came as somewhat of a surprise that many AM outlets locally showed no interest whatsoever in airing sounds like yesterday. It was WBJC and their production crew who had the foresight and fortitude to go ahead and air the program. And what resulted is probably the fastest success story in Baltimore radio history. You all know the popularity of the program, or you wouldn't be here. You all have an interest in this type of radio, or you wouldn't have backed it with your listenership. So, our first Golden Mike ever goes to WBJC-FM and their production staff. If it were not for them, we'd all be home right now watching summer reruns, perhaps. So congratulations.
And accepting the award for George C. Scott, yes. Owens is presenting, huh?
Well, Ken, on behalf of the Board of Governors of the Golden Radio Buffs and its membership, and all that you have done for the people of Baltimore to bring back old-time radio, it is with great pride and pleasure that I present you as the first local recipient of as a station of the Golden Mike Award.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you so very much. We were only too glad and pleased to do old-time radio on WBJC. We think there's a terrific audience for this sort of thing, and in the future, in the fall, we hope to present even more old-time radio than we currently are. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. This is just being broadcast on FM, of course, and It's not on TV, but we will present you with a Polaroid of the whole thing immediately afterwards. It was Fred Allen who once said, and I'm sort of paraphrasing this, I can't figure out why all those people come to sit in the audience just to watch a few middle-aged men in tweed suits and horn-rimmed glasses read from pieces of paper. But after years of hearing Town Hall Tonight or the Bing Crosby Show or maybe Burns and Allen from the comfort of your living room in Turley, Oklahoma, it must have been irresistible when you finally got to New York or Chicago or one of the great radio production centers not to get a ticket and go and sit in on a live in-person broadcast. So, just for fun, let's try to recreate a couple of minutes of
The Jack Benny Show, brought to you by Jell-O, America's favorite dessert, and tonight featuring Brenda and Cobina, Rochester, Frank Nelson, and Mel Blanc, with Phil Harris and the orchestra, and Frankie Remley on guitar. What? It's Dennis Day's birthday, and Jack is frantically calling every discount house in town to get him a present. At the moment, he's having a hard time even getting the operator.
Operator? Oh, operator. Gee, for Guy's sakes, huh?
Brenda, what is it, Cobina? El Cheapo is on the line again. Don't say anything. Ain't he got that present for Dennis Day yet? No, he even called the post office. What'd they say? They said a penny postcard is a penny postcard.
Gee, I gotta get Dennis something.
Why don't you get him what you got him last year?
What?
A picture of Mrs. Roosevelt that glows in the dark.
Gee, I could do that, operator. Yeah, he's using the first one as a nightlight.
They have one of FDR where his cigarette lights up on the hour.
Just forget it, will you? Huh? Goodbye. Gee, there's a little boutique that opened up just across from the Brown Derby. There ought to be something I can get that kid. I'll have Rochester bring the Maxwell around. Oh, Rochester!
Coming, boss!
Good. Rochester, bring the Maxwell around front, will you? I've got to get Dennis a birthday present.
What's the matter, boss? Mrs. Roosevelt's picture blow a fuse?
Now, just get the car, will you?
Well, I'm having trouble getting it started, Mr. Benny.
Gee, what's wrong?
I think the squirrel's sick.
Now, cut that out. Just start the car and let's get going, huh? Now, for Guy's sakes, put it in second. Gee, it's a lovely day, huh? Yeah, just pull right up here, Rochester. Look, I'll go inside, and you go ahead and park the car. Huh?
How long are you going to be inside, Mr. Benny?
Yeah, I don't know. Why?
Well, I want to know how long it time to find on the parking meter.
Long a time. Just park the car, will you? Huh?
Well, okay.
Gee, this is a beautiful store, Rochester. Guys, it's so busy, I hope I can get a clerk, huh?
Well, boss, there's a man with a flower in his lapel.
Oh, yes. Oh, floor walker.
Yes.
Oh, for Guy's sake, it's him again. Look, I need a gift for a young gentleman.
Ooh, good. Yeah, here's a lovely wristwatch. Now, it not only tells the time accurately, but also the time of day, the date, phases of the moon, and the tides at Pismo Beach.
Good. How much is it?
$5,000.
Yeah.
Hey, does it have a stethoscope, too? Ooh, why not? Mr. Benny just had a heart attack.
Now cut that out, Rochester. Hey, look, mister, do you have anything else, huh?
Ooh, well, how about a patriotic gift?
Good. What do you suggest?
A picture of Mrs. Roosevelt that glows in the dark.
Now cut that out, will you? Come on, Rochester, let's get out of this place, huh?
Oh, look, Mr. Benny, here's a Mexican booth. Say, why don't you get Dennis a pair of maracas?
A pair? Gee, I wonder if they'd break up a set.
Hey, look at that cute little guy with a big sombrero.
Now, be quiet, Rochester. He may be sensitive.
Sombrero means hat, boy.
Oh, yes. Gee. Yeah, I'll talk to him. Yeah, well, excuse me, senor. Is this your booth? You have Mexican things for sale?
See?
Everything I see?
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 Look, what's your name?
Sigh.
Cy?
See?
Look, I'd rather have another clerk over there. Is that your sister?
See?
What's her name?
Sue.
Sue?
See?
Now cut that out! For Guy's sake.
Pardon me.
Yes?
You wish to buy a gift, senor?
See. I mean, yes.
Well, I have just a thing. A picture of Mrs. Roosevelt. One look, it gives you heartburn.
Look, come on, Rochester, let's get out of here.
See?
Now cut that out! Oh, that was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it, putting together this little thing as much as we did, because a tour de force like this for people who haven't really done radio acting for a long time is a lot of fun. The only acting I think today really comes on commercials, and you have seated at the table here a couple of folks whom I've worked with for many, many years, and who are certainly familiar to Baltimore ears, if not eyes. And first of all, I'd like to present the young lady who did Brenda and Cobina, and she could have done 8 others if we'd had time. Miss Flo Ayres, ladies and gentlemen. And this gentleman over here, I've worked with for many moons. He's from Tulsa and Texas and environs, and he's been around here in Baltimore for a long while. And he used to do the morning show on WFBR about 12 years ago, I guess. 14! But who's counting, huh? Anyway, he's older. He's in Jagman. No, but I took over from him when he left, and he just does freelance work. Everybody says, gee, I wonder why Walt Tease ever got out of radio. Well, believe me, he's on the air more than anybody else. The most popular freelance announcer in this area, Mr. Walt Tease, ladies and gentlemen. And Lee, what's his name? Right. Okay. Well, right now we do have some more awards to give out, and it's certainly our pleasure to do so. So I want to thank our cast and staff of thousands once again. So let's have a big round of applause to 2 of the most talented radio people, Flo Ayres, Walt Tease. Thank you so much. You know, it's so doggone comfortable. I hate to put our back to the dais here, but we're going to do this just for a second till we get all squared away. The youngest broadcaster with us tonight has most recently been honored by WBJC FM. He has just been chosen the Outstanding Radio Personality for 1972. And here he is up for another award. I don't know where this kid gets time to announce, really. He's so busy on the rubber chicken circuit. All he has time to do is give a station break and an acceptance speech. He never gets a coffee break, just time off for these award banquets. But a couple of years ago, he worked on a one-year radio news internship at WCBM with Ted Beinert. And if you know Ted, he ought to get another award, because if he can survive Ted's pipe tobacco, he can take anything. You might think such a young guy, hardly 3 years in the business, maybe would dig acid rock. Maybe he does when he's holed up in his pad polishing his statuettes and his plaques. But back in 1970, he was assigned the task of producing a show built around the big band sounds. And luckily, the Ted Beinert influence wasn't felt, or BJC would have ended up with Lawrence Welk and Wayne King, the Waltz King. If you know Ted. The result was the first big band show in the area. It's called Big Bands Today and Yesterday. One of the most exciting moments of our evening for our reward recipient was a special program that he arranged in honor of Louis Armstrong. It was a special tribute from New York by Doc Severinsen on that show, if you happen to hear it. Included in a 1-hour special all the top tunes Louis made popular in his lifetime. The show was aired the day after Satchmo passed away. And the young fellow who made all this happen is Phil Pfister. He's currently working for WFMMFM. Sound like I'm mumbling here. And Channel 45, WBFF TV as an announcer and engineer. Now, his first love is sports and sports announcing, primarily play-by-play. As a matter of fact, each time he wins an award, it's sort of like an instant replay of the last one. But it's an honor to honor one of the deserving young men in our field, Mr. Phil Pfister, ladies and gentlemen. Phil? Phil, turn right around here. Next year, we're going to get somebody to underwrite some mic stands for these folks.
Thank you very much for the award. It's wonderful.
Well,
it's a wonderful feeling.
It's our pleasure. How old are you, Phil? Just for fun.
21.
21? When I was your age, I was 37. Where's the plaque? Can you bring it around, please? Oh, good, Owens. We've sort of changed our order of business around here a little bit. Owens is coming up. This plaque looks like a the plaque looks like a cufflink for Primo Carnera, but it's a large one. Oh. The plaque looks like a cufflink for Primo Carnera, but it's a large one. Owens, there ain't room enough on this stage for all of you.
Well, now this boy is getting this award tonight for bringing back the big band sound of Baltimore. And when this boy here, this man, well, he's a boy, well, to me he's a boy anyway. When he was just a little tyke, the big bands were becoming popular, and he probably didn't know too much about them, but as he grew older, he knew good music when he heard it. So for that reason only, for bringing back the big sound to Baltimore, big band sound, Phil, God bless you, boy, this is yours.
Thank you so very much. This is wonderful. Well, I guess the only thing I could say is thank you very much. It's a tremendous honor to be here, and I just hope I can continue to bring the public the sounds that I think they enjoy.
They apparently do, Phil. Congratulations to you. Thank you. Big bands. I thought that was one of Owens Pomeroy's belts there for a moment. Twixt and between our awards, we thought also it might be fun, especially for the nostalgia buffs who are listening tonight, to do some of the bloopers, things that have really happened in the past. And so we'll have members of our crew set them up, and some of the others knock them off. Lee, lead off, Lee.
The program director of a station in Texas finished preparing the next day's broadcasting schedule and left it in the control room, and later made a change. Instead of Les Brown and his orchestra, he substituted a religious program that was to originate from New York. He scratched out Les Brown's name and inserted above it the name of the new religious program. And early the next morning, the announcer came on duty, picked up the schedule, and reminded his listeners to
stay tuned for music by Yom Kippur and his orchestra.
This classic blooper was made by Harry Von Zell in the 1920s.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Hubert Heaver.
Here's one made during an electric shaver commercial.
So, fellas, when it's time to shave, remember you have a date with our two-headed model.
This station break really happened.
This is Indiana's first broad-chasing station.
It should have been Mr. Keene, tracer of lost persons, but it came out.
Presenting Mr. Keene, loser of traced persons.
A local news announcer reported an accident that befell a citizen while trying to make pancakes.
Jones's hand was burned when he laid it on a hot girdle. A girdle.
Oh, you blew it. He's the only guy to ever blooper the blooper. Back in the mid-40s, Walter Pidgeon appeared at a local bond drive, and he was greeted by a young lady anxious to get an interview with a famous film star. In her excitement, she said,
Mr. Privilege, this is indeed a pigeon.
okay. All right, George, we have some more bloopers if you like them, if you enjoy that sort of carrying on. Lee, great Scott, you've lost the magic paper here.
Over the years, our next award recipient has garnered his share of honors. As one broadcaster who's been on opposite him for over 15 years, he's had more than his share. But they've all been deserved, and none more than the Golden Mike Award he'll take home this evening. WBAL set aside May 24th of this year as Galen Fromm Day. The broadcast salutes from the great, near great, and fellow associates filled the broadcast day. Named in many polls as Maryland's favorite newscaster, Galen Fromm has broadcast over 140,000 newscasts for WBAL. His repertorial association with the famous and infamous of the nation and the world are legion. Galen is prominent in church and state affairs, has served on countless boards of directors concerned with charitable and civic interests, and currently he is one of a handful of Lutheran laymen in the United States representing his denomination on the board of the National Council of Churches. Our next Golden Mike Award winner, Galen Fromm.
Mr. Fromm, many a time when I was just knee-high to an elephant,
Speaking,
I listened to your program on Wings of Song, and it really was a wonderful show, and I was sorry to see it leave the airways. And although you are a Pennsylvanian by birth, you're a Baltimorean by adoption, and I think everybody in Baltimore considers you a native son. So for your show, Wings of Song, and for 40 years of broadcasting in the Baltimore area, I present to you, as a local recipient, one of the winners of the first annual Golden Mike Award.
Thank you very much, Owen, and thank you very much, Joe. I was thinking as I was sitting in back here and listening to this quartet in front here. I don't know whether you know it. I'm sure you do. I've worked at various times with each of the four you've just heard at this table here. And I can say without qualification that sitting at that table is 98% of the talent in Baltimore radio today and for the last 15 or 20 years. Joe, Walt, you're just marvelous. I hope you're around for a long, long time. Listening to, after this 40-year business, I thought listening to that Jack Benny thing sounded a little more like contemporary radio to me.
well, thanks.
Joe, thank you very much, and Owen, thank you.
Thank you. It's very generous of you, Galen. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Galen Fromm, ladies and gentlemen. Galen, in his 40 years, probably made a few bloopers on the air, and I know we all have. And Flo and Walt tried to sit down the other day, and Lee, and think of them, but they couldn't think of any clean. So we thought we'd do a few more wildies here for you that really happened. Listen, it's blooper time.
This blooper may have been the result of a station Christmas party.
And now, to conclude our program of Christmas carols, our guest star will sing "O Come All Ye Faithful" by Adeste Fidelis.
A radio commentator gave this social note at the end of a newscast.
All the world was thrilled with the marriage of the Duck and Duchess of Windsor.
blame this blooper on an engineer who accidentally threw a switch that cut off a local ladies program and substituted a current network show.
It's time now, housewives, for our featured guest, the prominent lecturer and social leader, Mrs. Alice Dodge.
Who is able to leap tall buildings at a single blow?
And who can forget this announcer during the cereal commercial?
So remember, friends, that bulk is the most important part of the digestive tract. It aids in keeping you regular. So you gang, make sure your mom is stopped up with Kellogg's Pep.
Secretly, I think this announcer wanted to do sports instead of music.
We now bring you the Dodgers and Hammerstein hits.
A disc jockey with good intentions wanted to give a buddy of his a plug on his impending marriage, and he innocently said,
All guys and gals, I want to dedicate our next big recording to my pal Henry and his expectant bride.
I'm glad I wasn't around when an announcer said this.
Yes, there's no doubt that Stephen Foster was one of the greatest, if not the greatest writer of American folk music. His spirituals rank high among the music the world likes best. And now, Stephen Foster's immortal song, Old Jack Blow.
If any of the agency people are listening, Flo and Wall just blew 800 accounts right there. It's next award time to a gentleman that we all know here locally, and he's known around the country too, because anytime anybody comes to Baltimore to live for any length of time, the past many moons, they have heard this voice and now have seen this face. Bill LeFevre, program director of Television 45, is certainly well known. He's a gentleman with over 30 years experience in radio and television. He was formerly night news editor and sports director for WFBR radio. For 7 years, the host on Saturday's Big Movie of the Week on Baltimore TV. He has reported news and sports as well as special events from Baltimore on all three networks, NBC, ABC, and CBS, and his sports background includes promotion director for the Baltimore Bullets, the public address announcer for the Baltimore Orioles when Baltimore won the pennant, and the World Series for the first time back in 1966. So he kind of likes to think he brought him a little luck. Bill graduated from Poly class in 1940. Says his interest really in broadcasting was at its greatest. Began with the Poly Follies, and he played a leading role for 4 years. And as he said, I watched some new studios being built for WFBR at the Old Center Theater over on North Avenue near Charles. We passed by it each day, going to the North Avenue Market for lunch. And I told my friends that I was going to work there. And he did. Bill's first job was as a guide to take people on tour through the new radio station. And later on, he became a part-time announcer and finally full-time staff announcer. During World War II, he was assigned to various radio programs for the Army, both in the States and overseas, fortunately on our side. He served in the Army for 4 years as announcer and combat engineer, and he's been combating engineers ever since. In 1959, Bill LeFevre helped launch WFMM-FM radio and became the first announcer to give the call letters without mumbling, which I thought was received the Mumble Award over there. In April of '71, he helped begin Baltimore's newest television station, WBFF-TV. Currently, Bill LeFevre is program director for both Radio 93 and Television 45, and at the moment is here receiving the Golden Mike Award.
Bill, back in about January of this year, we were together on a show called Insight with Bill Smith from WBJC, and a question was put to you about how we could go about this, and you said, try it and see what happens. Well, I tried it, and I see what happened. And so, for this reason, for giving me the gumption and taking a bit in my mouth, and producing, sounds like yesterday, sharing my library of old radio shows with the people of Baltimore, and starting the Golden Radio Buffs, and well, you can see what's here tonight. and for your service to Baltimore and the Baltimore boy that made good, I present to you as one of the local recipients, the first, to receive the Golden Mike Award. And I'd just like to read this. This award is presented annually to the station or individual personality that has retained the high standards of broadcasting entertainment and has kept the ideals put forth so many years ago during radio's golden age. Presented this 8th day of July, 1972 by the Board of Governors, Maryland Area Network Golden Radio Buffs. The Golden Mike Award presented to one and only Bill LeFevre.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Owen. And ladies and gentlemen, it's a real pleasure for me to be here this evening. Looking back through the years, I remembered when I started in this business, there were just 4 radio stations in Baltimore. Now there's some 23 AM and FM stations broadcasting in our market, along with 6 television stations. So things have really grown by leaps and bounds. And yet tonight, with our friends here at the table, Flo and Walt, and Joe and Lee, radio certainly is not dead, far from it. And I, for one, am eternally grateful for the fact the radio is still with us today. And I accept this award on behalf of all of my colleagues in radio and television who have made it possible for all of us. And I